Happy Sunday.
Happy
Sunday. And no Pomona, damn it.
No Pomona.
Hope everyone's doing good. Let me check, make sure it's working. Yes. 1, 2, 3. We are live. And Pablo Araya is already on. How you doing, Pablo? First one on. All right. We are in Customikes Man Cave and doodle daddling with the MiniMerc Phantom delivery. And Scotto's fiddling with the back of his Choptop, Carson top landing area in the back with a hat tray and all that happy stuff's going. But we had a lot of questions in regards to how I deal with the posts on the Choptop. And I figured it's a perfect opportunity because we took the C pillar. So the first pillar is an A, the second pillar is a B, the third one is a C. And on the four-door, you might have E, D, E, F, or whatever. But I figure this one's a good prop to kind of talk about. Actually, and this one is the opposite side of this one right here. It's cut loose from the other side, just to give you an orientation. And what I'm trying to do is to lean this one forward to have more of a balanced look with the B pillar. But one of the things I talked about was doing a doubler. And actually, let's talk about cautious cutting first. Part of how we ended up getting it somewhat equal lines is using tape to get the measurement that you're looking for. And I cut less than I wanted just to be sure that once the top came down, that we didn't go too far. That's why we have an inch piece extra, because it wasn't enough for my taste. It could have been for many people, but I wanted a little bit more. But a lot of times too, what I do is I do a doubler, which is kind of like a piece like this, but it's probably about this long, 2.5 inches, overlapping the actual weld area. And I will show you on the pillar over there, but I actually screw it in, and then I slide the pillars over each other. And so like this piece right here, if I show you a little closer, I would cut this piece down here and probably, no, actually I would cut this piece here and here. That way this corner will fit down into here. And then I'll do a straight piece in here with an angle to catch this corner. And then I would probably use this part to here to catch this corner, and so on. And these pieces are already made for you, the right shape, everything to fit in it as a doubler. And you can use these because they're sacrificial. You cut them off because you don't like the tall roof anyway. But the key with the doublers is that even if you don't get full penetration, you still have the panel on the inside securing the top, should you have a rollover, etc. And also what I do is I drill out. Normally I put 3 or 4 screws in each section, and I drill those out and then plug weld them. So not only do I have the weld here, I also have the plug weld on each side of the weld. So there's no freaking way that this can fail. I have seen cars in famous shops and paint shops where they only welded the visible part and didn't weld the inside. And in many cases, even such as this one, it's hard to see. Let me see if I can get a good angle. But inside here is a third piece of structural reinforcement that has to be dealt with. And you can't just weld it together and just forget about that part. That makes it a really scary car. So on that one, which I've already done, I cut this piece off. Let's see, do I have warranty? Yeah. I cut this piece off just so I can actually get in and weld on this piece after we cut and trim, because we also got to lean this pillar in a little bit. And a huge one not to forget. It's the same. I cut this off the bottom of the car, and I'm doing doublers in here too. When I set the pillar back down and I'm leaning it forward, there's doublers in there that will take up the strengths here that we're losing. So very, very important if you want a safe custom car, because we got to enjoy it. So that's a little bit about that. Obviously, safety. Huh? What? Huh? I can't hear what he's saying anyway. Gloves are important when you're dealing with sharp stuff. Yeah. I have a few cuts that I'm not very happy about, so Gloves is an important one. Also shields for your grinders and stuff. I know a lot of tough guys like to do it without, but
this is a great blade too.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I didn't talk about that. Yeah, I was standing at one of the home improvement stores, and I grabbed a stack of those regular blades, the consumable ones, and right next to it, this diamond cut blade was hanging, and the stack of blades that I had in one hand was more money than this one blade, and they promised more cuts. I think they promised the same as, I don't remember anyway. But this blade has been amazing. I have cut 12 gauge, 10 gauge, several pieces of the MiniMerc, a bunch of stuff in the 57, and it's still going strong. It's an amazing blade, actually. The new technology kind of winning me over. So, and some people also ask what I use to clean metal, and we actually use these. If you can see, the twist off. I have them all the way up into a 7-inch, and they're fantastic to clean metal. So, little tips and tricks.
Expensive but effective.
Yeah, they're like, $13-14 a piece. And if you run them the wrong way against a metal edge, they literally explode. So you just threw $15 away, so to say. But
there's technique with them, but they really are effective.
When you use them the right way, they're hugely effective, especially in hard to reach areas. Also, mask stuff. There's a lot of crazy stuff in here. So I'll show you a little bit closer. What? You have something else?
Nope.
Yeah. Let me grab a drink. Yeah, well, Sawzall is what we live by. Have Sawzall, will travel. Well, I prefer you bring it here, but.
It's a cool thing we do to slide the sheet metal around.
Yeah.
Just
go ahead and tell them.
Just a pair of duckbill vice grips. You just clamp it on. You can slide these 4x8s around fairly quickly and easy on the ground.
Safely.
Safely, even if you're using gloves and stuff, you're not taking as much a chance to cutting yourself with it.
Yep. So
move it around.
Yep. Let me untangle this wire here. All right. So let's see here. So we cut loose. If you can grab that, and we'll show yeah, the shop cements. This is a real shop. We actually use the tools and we do the filming in between. And so in order to lean the stuff forward and to match get towards the roof, because we moved it forward to get the look we want, you don't have to put it in.
Yeah.
You can see the loose parts right there, and then this is the part that I lean forward, and it's leaned forward right about 1 inch forward, which only makes a 1/4 inch worth of lean right there, and I'm actually pivoting right on the front of the edge to make this lean. And this way I get it to a point where I can catch the right angle. By the time I cut this one loose and kick it up, it'll have the right flow into that pillar. And I will show you a little bit later on, after I cut those down and set the doublers in here so we can set the roof on it. But that will come a little bit later. I just wanted to give you a brief highlight of that. But also now, the reason I haven't welded it all in is because we still got to turn this one in. And if you look at it this way, you can see we have an angle difference because we're not going to split the roof. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this one through here, and I'm going to rotate it in. And I'm going to do the same with this one. When I cut it off this way, I'm going to cut all the way in there, and we're going to lean it out until these two are more in line with each other. So it is literally an origami, and that piece that I cut off earlier came off of here, so I can get to that third layer of sheet metal or reinforcement. Yeah, right there. And it's important to sacrifice a few of these so you can get to those, so you can safely put the car back together again. And then I have the ability to move this piece. Whoops. It was down here, and now I have the ability to put it up here so I can have a matching line or radiuses or whatever. On the outside, I'm not going to do that. I could have cut this loose, and I could have moved it up, but the inside reinforcement actually attaches right here. So I'm just going to make another one and double it up right here so I have a little more strength. And then also we're going to make this a delivery, so this will be closed in with a heavy panel. So So anyhow, so that's a little bit about the MiniMerc that we're working on, and then we're gonna bring it back over to Scotto. Scotto's been working with his Chevy, and you know, he's been working. He has this Carson top that him and his friends have made, and he's an engineer back and forth a bunch of times, and then now we're trying to figure out how is it going to land on here, what is it going to look like when you take it off, and all those type of things. And he's been learning sheet metal on his low down custom, so to say, and I'll let him talk about some of the trials and tribulations of putting all this stuff together. So take it away, Scotto.
So the old way that we nested this top on here was a steel rod with some little pins, and then went down into this area right here, this landing area right here. So if I ever took the top off, which was kind of the theory of operation, it had a really ugly presence. So we decided to create a whole new landing area, and so we're doing that with sheet metal and just 18 gauge. And it's been, you know, quite a learning experience. We're making some templates to make these pieces fit. And this first piece here, we already looked at that maybe a couple weeks ago. That's pretty much on a level plane, and so we had a couple of examples. We'll just kind of go over again. A couple examples we were trying to do it with, and we were just shrinking and stretching, and it just wasn't working out right. So we just decided to make it out of a single piece that's turned, and then we shrink and stretch it, and that created the sweep that we needed for this corner piece. And then moved on over to this piece right here. We had a template that we made out of this cardboard here, this construction paper, and we did it a couple of times, or I did a couple of times, and these are examples that failed because the template was made at the wrong angle. So the angle that you need to work with is the one that it's going to rest in ultimately. And so the first one, it was the wrong angle, then the second one is the wrong angle. So when you create that piece to go in, it's going to follow the angle that it's designed to go with, and which was the wrong angle. So these pieces here, shrinking and stretching and doing a bend over, just didn't work right because it wanted to land at the angle that it was at, that it was created for. So, and I'm laying it this way, and it's not going. You know, I'm frustrated. I don't know how to make it work right. So we discovered that the wrong angle was created. So a third template was created at the right angle, laying this way. It fell right into where the trim needed to be. And so we're using this flat steel, created the template, drew it out, created it, cut it out with the Beverly shear over there. And then I started to bend it over, and we're using these tools right here, these shaping tools. Basically, it's just quarter-inch plate, various sizes of solid bar stock, tapered or rounded over on the edges, and that's what we used to create the shape. So after a couple of failures on the one that we're using right here, I created a small little sample of what I wanted it to do and how I wanted it to land ultimately. Okay, and so that's the shape that I use. I use that as a second template, you know, or guide. And so that shaping did over here with the variety of these different tools. And to create that shape, I kind of had to measure out this distance here from the edge over to the apex of this curve. All right, so what I did is I transitioned that over with some dividers. You can see a little line right there. It's actually a little bit bigger because I had to do a different thing, but originally it was like that right there. I transferred that over onto my piece, and that was used on the tool here to use as a guide to start bending over You know, first of all with a rubber mallet, it's a little softer, and you just kind of hammer it over, create that little bend, and then you can work it over a little bit more with, you know, with a harder hammer. And then I used my little template here, a little sample, as a guide to make sure that I was following the curve. And it's not exactly perfect, but it's close enough for, you know, for what we're doing this for, you know, in the first stage here. So once I got that down, then everything fit in real nice. So my first one over here on the driver's side, that nested in there real nice right up against the trim. The trim is not exactly where it needs to be. There's a little bit of flexibility because it's not clamped down completely, but it fits in there real nice. And once we get all the pieces together, then we'll trim it all down to where it needs to be, and then you know, scribe a nice line, scribe a nice common line all the way around, so it has a nice resting area, weld it in, and we'll be good.
So what's your biggest takeaway from the big piece?
Big piece is making it land right, making your template to fall into place where it needs to be, and don't force the metal to do anything it shouldn't be doing. So basically, using the shrinker and stretcher, we're just making it you know, move. Yeah, go like this. Making it move in these directions. Okay, and once we bend it over with this edge right here, then it would take on the curve that I needed to nest in this right here. See this curve right here, the apex is up here in the center of the trunk. It comes downhill and then curves and then kind of rides back up a little bit. And putting this piece in there that I'd done incorrectly because it was at the wrong angle, this whole angle is now different.
Yeah.
So this
so
is
the curve didn't match.
The curve didn't match.
Yeah.
You know, it's an angle right here. It kind of fit better, but when you kind of stuff it down in here, it wasn't working, and it was frustrating because I was creating a much longer radius on this corner right here, and it just wasn't fitting. I was trying to force it, move it, you know, with the shrinker stretcher and hammering over these different tools, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was, you know,
What's your biggest takeaway with the shrinker and stretcher?
a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Finesse it like you're touching a woman, huh?
Yeah, just nibble at it. Very small. This is see, these are very small little nibbles. Very, very small. Just barely touch it, a little bit at a time, and it actually moves quite a bit over the distance. So when I first hammered these out, it just had an inverse curve. When I ran it through here and created this curve right here, just this right here created a nice little sweep this way, the opposite direction. So to compensate for that, put it in the shrinker, just nibble away at that edge, just a little bit at a time. Very close, very shallow to the edge. You know, not much at all, just a fingernail. And it'll start to move around.
Yeah.
And it'll fall. For the most part, it'll fall into the hole that you initially created it for.
That's the beautiful part. So how, you know, so Scotto's learning the sheet metal techniques, and just for comparison, it's like the first one probably took forever, and multiple templates and multiple pieces of metal, and you know, it was some friction between us and trying to tell him and trying to understand and work it. But you know, the key of it is the win here. It's like the first one took a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of frustration. How long did the second one take?
Well, combined between this one, and just trying to figure it out, I probably have, after work, probably six hours.
Yeah.
Overall, fussing with these two guys, and you know, getting frustrated, not mad, but just frustrated as why isn't this working right? Why isn't it working right? So I set it down, you know, and I went over and sat down for a while. You came home later after another task you were doing, and we kind of talked about it and rediscovered this, and so I got it in place, got it going in there, and this one didn't take quite as long, probably an hour and a half.
Yeah, but each one of them, the learning opportunity shortened the time to get to the end product, right?
Right, and this one over here, this one took me less than an hour.
Yeah.
and I messed that one up because I didn't have the right radius. Now that's the thing, is I was using this radius on the inside of this piece right here because I already had that, and it was working good on that. And then when I made this one from fresh, this one was a mess up too.
Yeah.
So we had a partial curve in there, and had to hammer it back out to straighten it out and move the line with the dividers.
Yeah.
And so when I go to make this one right here, I created that initial line based on this right here. Well, I didn't compensate for the distance of the curve. I just did a flat plane split there and transferred over, and I did it wrong. It was too short.
Yeah.
The radius was there, but it was the distance wasn't far enough. So I put a piece of tape on it and then measured it out, found out where that was on this one, made a little mark, measured it, and then opened my dividers back up to the larger distance, which is what we see right here, and then scribed it on there, and it came out. It's almost an exact double for the other side.
Yeah.
So,
but the key of it is here is that when you're doing sheet metal, it can be frustrating at first because the metal has a mind of its own, but it is relatively predictable. And once you start understanding what it's doing and why, it gets easier. But the key of it is that you can't give up. And the sheet metal is relatively inexpensive, and just beat it to death and then give up on it. Use it as a template for the next one and move forward and learn with each step as you go along. And I mean, the skills that he's learning today, he's going to be able to make a ton of stuff and help other people make their cars better. And we figured we'd share some of that because I'm really proud of him. He's done a lot. I'm telling him, I'm giving him the basic idea of what he needs to do, but he still needs to fight with the machines and his own mind process about how things are going. But this is really going to clean up the back of this, and it will also give us a good landing area for weather seals and locks and latches and all those other things. And that's kind of what the goal was right here. So
build upon a bad design. We did.
Well, it's not just a bad design. It's evolving.
Yeah.
When you build something, you're literally engineering it from scratch, and there are no books on how to do this the right way. So you decide where you want to go, and a lot of people just give up. Yeah, and just polish the turd, so to say. But Scotto's sticking with it, and he's making it better. And we're discussing a bunch of stuff. Having somebody to bounce stuff off is a really important thing too, because there's 1,000 ways of doing something, and not every.
They're not all right. They're not all wrong.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever works for you. And I mean, we would love to be David Hitchison or Marcel Delay or any of those and make all these things that look like $1 million. But we're doing the best we can with what we got at each of our individual skill level in time, and we're focusing on getting better.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
As Sean is actually on here, I think you asked Sean to make a few of these more.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah, we need a few more of these. A couple of curved ones would be really nice, if you have something laying around. Anyway, Jeff also saying, "Oh man, you'll be done in 50 minutes for paint." I don't think so. But we're moving forward, and that's the whole key. So, anyhow, I think that's all we got for today. Maybe we'll come back at you later. We're gonna tinker with the stuff and cut some more stuff up and have some fun. But we appreciate you guys hanging with us here at Customikes. Love you all. You have a wonderful Sunday.
Stay safe.
See ya. What happened? Oh, there we go.